my Facebook page.
Right, I'm just stopping the record that last time, so we're good to go.
It's got to tag some of my customers in the post.
We love doing these joint events. If you haven't joined us before, Emma is an absolute guru in the larger ships. Cabin selection is her superpower, and she would have told you about that last time. Today we're going to split it two ways. I'm going to be talking about luxury cruising, one of my very favourite subjects, and Emma is going to be talking about expedition cruising, and you know, very, very an exciting part of the market as well. So both of them, or both are looking at the smaller ships, whereas last week we looked at some of the mega ships. These are a lot more smaller and intimate. How are you doing there, Emma? Are you ready to go?
Yeah. So just wanted to say to people, if you are watching, if anyone's watching for myself or Gilly, that you can comment on her video on my page, and we will regularly check them for comments. If you have any questions, if anything, you want to ask any more questions, or anything is confusing, or anything, or you want to say how beautiful we look, whatever, anything, yeah, comment, we'll answer those questions. There is a slight delay between us and Facebook, so it might take us a second to just catch up with you. Okay, are you ready to start, Gilly?
Well, as ready as I'll ever be, Emma.
Have you started the recording? Yes, you have.
I have started the recording. Okay, so welcome back to our three-part series. In the first part of the series, we talked about the new cruise experience and all of the things that will change under COVID and when we think sailing will resume. We can send the link out to you, but we're always absolutely delighted to speak to you about that. I'm hoping to cruise in October, and I know that Emma's hoping to do so early next year. So we're excited to get back on board. So that was the first one. The second one that we looked at was mainstream cruising with companies like the P&O. We looked at Cunard, Princess, Celebrity, so those larger ships. And this one now is the last in the series where we look at small ship sailing. So luxury is where I like to be, and Emma does like a bit of luxury too, but she is our expedition guru on this one, so it's quite a nice combo as ever. So welcome to everyone, and Emma, are you going to introduce yourself first there? I think here you are.
I am. Apologies if you've been on our previous two cruise webinars, you've seen these slides before. My love of cruising is wide and varied. I do like big ships. That is probably where my main cruising experience is. However, I could be persuaded to go on any cruise ship. I'll go on a ferry anywhere. And you know, the level of service aboard luxury cruise ships is certainly unrivaled, and I'm very keen for an expedition cruise. There's nothing better, like going somewhere amazing, but going somewhere amazing on a boat is like the best kind of holiday. So my main cruising experience is in Europe, the Caribbean and Alaska. Particularly, I love cold cruises, which I think will become obvious when I talk about expedition cruises, because all of those are to cold places. So yeah, a little bit about Gilly.
Well, here I am, in Alaska. One of those was on Regent on the left, and the middle one was on Silversea. Now the one on the right there was on Azure, which is part of the P&O fleet. But I have got more experience in the luxury end of the market, and I'm going to be talking to you about Seabourn, Silversea, and also Regent. All of these I've got first-hand experience. We've also got Oceana in the mix, so we'll talk a little bit about her because she sort of sits in the middle, but really we're going to be talking about these smaller luxury ships. And to be honest, putting this presentation together has really depressed me, because it just reminded me of how much I was missing, because this time last year I was just coming back from a 2-week South China Seas cruise with Seabourn. Yes, it wasn't without its challenges, but it was still absolutely fabulous. Okay, so this first picture, this is a genuine photo. This is called Caviar in the Surf. So this is a Seabourn ship in the background, and this is one of their signatures that they do, where you have these ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you can quite see, they've actually got shorts on, but they do this sort of party and event where they serve champagne and caviar, and it's it's just one of their signature things, and it's just a really lovely thing. I'm not a big fan of caviar myself, but it's always when it happens, which will be once or twice on a cruise, it's such a lovely kind of fun and party atmosphere. So let me start, with Seabourn. Now, probably quite controversial thing I'm going to say here is that between Seabourn, Regent and Silversea, I think there are more similarities than differences. There are some differences, and I'm going to highlight a few of those, but all of them offer, in my opinion, ultra luxury, and they are pretty damn all-inclusive. So I'll talk about that in a minute. So the thing is with Seabourn, to talk about first, I think of the three, it is the most informal in terms of service. Service is what they describe as intuitive, it's slightly more chatty, a little bit more fun, but it's definitely absolutely exquisite. But also in terms of the dress code, everyone's well dressed because pretty much well-heeled people on here, but it's more informal. When we get to talk about Silversea, that's probably the most formal, and Regent is somewhere in between. Now, as with all of these cruise lines that we're talking about, predominantly the target audience or the passengers will be roughly 50 to 60% from guests from the US, and the rest would be made up of British, Canadian, Australian, and then a mix of European. So sometimes you could have up to 30 nationalities on board, but predominantly they would be from the US. In terms of ages as well, probably 60 plus. We are seeing a younger demographic, particularly on the shorter cruises and on the expedition cruises as well, which Emma will come on to. But in terms of, I would have, when last time I would have been on a cruise, I would have been 49, and I certainly didn't, feel that it was full of old duffers at all. A real mix of really well-travelled and interesting individuals, I would say. So don't let that ever put you off. They describe Seabourn as elegant but not pretentious. I did read a review and someone was saying that everyone was stuck up. And do you know what? I've never experienced that. I found everyone super chatty, super lovely, really happy to share experiences. So don't ever let that put you off. All of the ships are all suites. Majority of them are balconies as well. On Silversea, there are some vista cabins that don't have balconies, but they'd still have ceiling, floor to ceiling windows, which are absolutely beautiful. None of these ships, in my opinion, are particularly family orientated. If you are looking and you can afford to do it, to take your family, it tends to be older children, and things like an Alaskan itinerary would be more, where we're seeing a lot of wildlife and, such like, but not really that family orientated. But you will see families during those summer holidays. And it's because it's not like the big lines that we looked at last week, which has got, slides and all sorts of things, Emma. I mean, these ships are crazy, aren't they, that you went through last week? You've got none of that. It's fairly traditional. Now, one of my biggest gripes with Seabourn, it is one of my favourite lines, but Wi-Fi isn't included. And obviously when I travel, and Bry's got his business as well, we always have to have sort of unfettered Wi-Fi. And I think it cost us around $300 to $400. So you really do need to factor that in. But everything else, like there are open bars throughout the ship, and that would be champagnes, a really good selection of wines, also cocktails. I don't think I ever paid for a drink because there's just no need. There are some people who are absolute wine buffs who are paying hundreds of pounds for a bottle of wine, but unless you love exquisite wine, I mean, they were just, the selection was just beautiful. As I said, cocktails, and also things like if you were having a gin and tonic, there would be a real array of gins, but also in terms of vodkas, you would have things like Grey Goose. So, these more luxury brands. But yes, all your food is included, a real selection of restaurants, and all your drinks are included as well. Also across all of these lines as well, so Seabourn, Silversea and Regent, all your gratuities are included. Seabourn is the only one though where they're also included in the spa. The others you do have to pay for it there. In terms of activities, when you're not out and about doing things, we're talking about, and I know you love a quiz, Emma. Brian and I never take part because we're absolutely rubbish at them, and I know you and Leighton are pretty damn good and you're forever winning. But things like movie nights under the stars, with popcorn, they will always be a resident band as well, and entertainment crew. So you've got kind of like West End shows, but though I thoroughly enjoy the low-key entertainment on these boats, it is nothing compared to those big ships. But there's definitely enough to, you know, to keep you amused. So standout Seabourn for me is what they have is called Seabourn Conversations. Now, all of these ships will have a lecture program. But Seabourn invests, and they have, when we were on board, we had Michael Howard, and his wife is also a very, very well-known authoress, if that's a word, and he was talking about Brexit amongst all other things now, which might seem a very strange thing that you'd want to talk about on a cruise, but for me it was just it's just such an eclectic mix of things. Also on Seabourn, they have these partnerships, and some of the notable ones is one with Tim Rice. So there is a show where he comes up as a holographic image. You know, I can't say that I'm a huge Tim Rice fan, but the way that it was done was just absolutely stunning. Also with Andrew Weil, who is a big spa guru, and also with Thomas Keller, perhaps not so well known to us, but he would be a US version of Gordon Ramsay, possibly though with better language. And you've got the Thomas Keller Grill, which you can book into, which is complimentary as well. So who would go on a Seabourn cruise? Well, tell me who wouldn't. If you want really lovely service, a beautiful cabin, really good food, and champagne all day, and if you like a bit of caviar, then you know, it's absolutely perfect for you. So yeah, I think that's probably a good overview of Seabourn. In terms of Seabourn cruises that I looked at, I have done Asia with them, which is they've got some fabulous itineraries that take in the Philippines plus China when you can go, but also their European itineraries are absolutely fantastic. Brian and I are hoping to do a Mediterranean itinerary, a 14-night one, with them in October. Just stunning, taking in things like, you know, from Turkey to Santorini. So yeah, they go to all seven continents though, but so it'd be difficult to choose, but happy to recommend some to you. Okay, Emma. Right, the next one we're going to look at is Silversea. We're going to show you a little video here. So do you want to just play that for me, Emma?
Will do.
We've been talking about this for a while. Something special, the trip of a lifetime. Silversea Cruises delivered it to us and more. Together, we visited some of the world's most intriguing destinations. There's something amazing about exploring new cities by arriving right on their doorstep. We experienced it all in the lap of luxury. And we shared our memories with some great new friends over fine wine and outstanding cuisine. Truly memorable.
Cruise the world's 7 continents aboard Silversea, the ultimate in luxury cruising.
Well, Emma, who wouldn't love a bit of that? Now, that was filmed on the Spirit, so the Silver Spirit. And Brian and I have been on that ship 3 or 4 times. She's, in terms of the age of the fleet, she's sort of in the middle. But they did something really interesting with her. They cut her in half and stretched her and put in you know, several more cabins. So I've not been on her since then. And they've completely refurbed, and you can see inside. It's incredibly elegant. Now, with Silversea, again, you've got the service. And I don't know if you noticed on there, there's a bit of a differentiation because you have a butler. Now, they are trained butlers, but I would say is that I've been on Seabourn and Regent, and the steward or stewardess that we've had, I think are all excellent. So I wouldn't let that put you off, but it is, again, slightly more formal. It is lovely when the butler turns up at the start of your cruise and he comes with a range of toiletries and he says, is it the Bulgari you would like, madam, or is it something else? So that is rather lovely. And he'll also have a chat to you because he'll set up a complimentary bar. So, you know, what champagnes or gins or wines would you like? And he'll stock all that up. But to be fair, the other lines will do that, but perhaps not just by your butler. It'll be someone else that would do that for you. But yeah, he can't do, or she can't do enough for you. On Silversea, and you looked at Spirit there are a couple of things that Brian and I particularly love about Spirit. And that is the Stars Supper Club. Now you can go in there and have dinner, but quite often what we would just do is go for drinks after dinner, and it's like a club atmosphere, so but it's small with tables, and then you would have we had a jazz singer and a pianist who were just really incredible. Tiny dance floor, but you know, people got up, but it's just such a beautiful atmosphere in there. We absolutely loved that, and that takes us back to spirit again. They've also got a nice selection of restaurants which are from the formal to the informal, and they've got like a hot rocks, you know, where they heat up the plates and then you can sizzle things on it, and that's a more casual option if you want to. We had perhaps more excitement at Hot Rocks than we should have done, because we were next to a very large ship, which has glass windows in its bathrooms, and we had a full display of a gentleman in the shower. So I think that we were all watching him at dinner, so that is just one thing to watch out for, but it was very, very funny indeed. And then his wife came back to the room and thought, why are all these people watching? So that was quite a funny funny afternoon. So okay, again, mostly Americans, around 50%, maybe 60% USA then, so international guests, 60 plus again in terms of ages, but again on the expedition and shorter cruises would be younger than that. In terms of, again, all-inclusive, completely open bar set up in your room, lots of restaurants, but on Silversea you do have one restaurant that you could pay to go to. To be honest, we've never bothered because the food has been exceptional, but we've met people who have done something very special in there, maybe for a really super you know, birthday, but I honestly don't think it's needed unless you want to do something that is absolutely exceptional. So the only thing you're really paying for on here, so gratuities are included as well, are your excursions. Now, one thing I really like about Silversea, so if you want to, when I talked about Seabourn, we did quite a lot of itineraries, and the itineraries or destinations are really important to us. But when we go on Silversea, quite often we do the Caribbean in December. So actually it's more about the ship and the experience. So we just like being spoiled rotten, and we like the lovely weather, and we might get off and have a stroll around if we come into a harbour, but it's more about, you know, that absolute relaxation of being spoiled. So that the onboard facilities, food and drinks and stuff, we certainly take great advantage of. Okay, Emma, I hope you enjoyed that with Silversea. It was certainly rather beautiful.
I did. Oh, something's happened. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I saw penguins there. So as across all, just to recap, now on the left there, that is the bar at the top of Seabourn Ovation, and we just used to love going up there in the evening. What you can't see, oh, you actually in the back you can see there's lots of like nibbles and things, pre-dinner nibbles. You never stop eating, and you can have champagne and cocktails. And there's also a pianist up there before dinner, which is just a really lovely way, you know, to relax. And we did have a gentleman that was on there who liked to play and sing along as well, and we kind of indulged him a bit as well. And on the right hand side you've got, which is called Earthen Patio, which is a restaurant which is on the pool deck, as you can see, so great for beautiful climbs, and it has a very interesting and modern menu which changes daily. So that was hugely popular. It was just lovely to be outside as well. But across all of them, all have got drinks included, all have got gratuities included, all have got the vast majority of restaurants. And the only difference really is we're going to come on to Regent, which includes its excursions as well. So for certain itineraries, I would definitely recommend Regent. But yeah, if you don't want to spend a penny, then it's a really, you could live in the lap of luxury for as one, and you don't need to spend anything at all. Yeah, personalised services, again, what I would say, we've got on one side, we've got Silversea, which I think is the most formal, and it's kind of got that butler training. I don't know if you can quite see in this photo, there is lots of white gloves. You'll see lots of white glove service. That seems to be quite an important thing. And then right at the other end, we've got Seabourn, still beautiful service, but it's a lot more chatty and informal, but still, you know, very, very intuitive and you know, exceptional. So that is what people are paying for. Nothing is too much trouble, as long as it's legal. and possible, they will absolutely do it for you. And I can share lots of stories with you about what is possible. You know, it's just a beautiful thing to do, and you need to take advantage of that as well. So when I'm booking a luxury cruise for people who've never been before, I go through all the things they should be asking for, because quite often you only learn from other people that you could have a bar set up in your room or canopy set, you know, straight. You just don't know these things, so anything is possible. Yeah, and stunning suites. Now, even on the, I don't want to call it entry level, because they're all stunning. They're all suites, which would mean that you've got a bed and you'd also have a seating and dining area. And one thing that we always do for one night on the cruise is that we would have dinner in the room. Perhaps we've been out all day, but that's still a beautiful experience. They will come and set your table up. They will lay a white tablecloth. They will silverware, crystal glasses, and then you can order your meal from across all of the restaurants. You could have a starter, say from the Compass Rose, and then, you know, you'd have a main course from the Asian restaurant, and they would bring the wines and chill them as well for you. They won't stay in the suite and serve it for you. You can have that, but that wouldn't be normal. But it's still a beautiful thing to do, particularly on a nice evening, have the doors open, have it on the balcony, if you want to have it in your pajamas, for example. So it's just a lovely thing to do. I would say that Regent, in terms of if you are really going for top end suites, Regent is absolutely stunning, and you can see an example of one there. There are definitely ones that are bigger than that. But then on the left here is, I think that's the Seabourn one, which is a smaller one. But, you know, even the most basics of suites are still, you know, absolutely stunning. Lovely bathrooms, typically a shower and separate bath. Big comfortable bed, which can either be a king or a twin, always a little seating area, always a dining area, and in most cases a balcony. So even if you're going what we call those entry-level suites, it is still amazing. Of course, you get access to everything on the ship, the same as everyone else. Right, this is about the curated voyages. I mean, one of the reasons, you know, besides the luxury, I was going through kind of the fleet. Last week we spoke about these cruise ships that the guests were in the thousands. In here they're in the hundreds. I mean, even if we looked on the Seabourn Ovation, which is one of its largest ships, you're only talking about 300 suites and a maximum of 600 guests. I think there's a balance to be struck here, because the first luxury cruise we did was on the Silver Cloud, and there was only 100 or so guests on there. We were a bit light. We weren't full because there was an issue. I won't go into now with, there was an issue. We were going on the Suez, and a lot of Americans cancelled because there'd been an issue. But we had the most amazing cruise with around 120 guests. But normally there would be less than 200. For me, perhaps that's a little bit too small. I like the 600 number because it's enough to have a selection of restaurants and to get some ambience. But when Emma comes to talk about the expedition cruises, some of these are a lot smaller. So because these ships are smaller, they can get into destinations the larger ships can't. And that is, you know, a really beautiful thing to do. And I can talk you through what they would look like. Now, in terms of voyages, and I've covered, you know, a couple of these, but just to look at, first of all, to look at Regent, and I mentioned the Regent, one of the defining factors about Regent is all of the, well, a large range of excursions are included. And this, in my opinion, really changes the dynamic on the boat, because if I was on a normal cruise, if I was away for 2 weeks, I might do 4 or 5 excursions. I just really do the kind of things that I really wanted to. I certainly wouldn't go out every day. But if you are on a Regent one, we may have, some days we did 2 excursions a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. They really varied, and you get to meet a lot of people and experience a lot of things. So we did this in Alaska, and I was just going back through. The Alaskan cruise sailed out of San Francisco, and our first stop was Oregon. We did a bike tour where other people went off and had afternoon tea somewhere. But then we went to Juneau, so we're now in Alaska, and we went to the Mendenhall Glacier. And you've got what's called a river float. So we got on this boat, which is almost like a raft to get up, you know, up close to the glacier. Just incredible. Other people did it on larger boats, but this is all included and just a really lovely thing to do. In Ketchikan, some people went to a lumberjack show. Now, that didn't float my boat. But then they came back, they were so enthused by it, they said it was just incredible. What we did on that, we did a cruise to the George Inlet and a crab feast, which was just incredible. So we had a really, it makes me laugh, we got off a small ship to go on to get off a large ship to get onto a small one, or a small boat to get, but it was just incredible. And then we had this sort of, well, just this crab fest, which was just beyond incredible, super fresh. They boiled it all up and then just tipped it onto the table, literally no plates, no nothing. It was just nuts, but it was just a really lovely thing to do. And then in Sitka we did the expedition boat, and then we went to the Tongass rainforest. The thing is about their excursions, they are graded. So because you've got older people on the ship, you've also got mobility issues as well. So certain people who weren't as fit may do a coach tour. We always opted for things that had cycling, canoeing, or hiking. And in the Tongass rainforest, it was like, God, so many steps. It was quite tough going. You needed to be relatively fit, so we thoroughly enjoyed it. And I saw a porcupine, which was really very exciting. So, which is like a little bear's face and really big. It was really lovely. I think I frightened it though, which is probably not a good thing to do. So that's Regent, and I think for those kind of more immersive experiences, it's beautiful. I mentioned to you about Silversea. We love the Caribbean for that, because we just love to be, spoiled rotten. And then I would look at Seabourn for Asia and also the Med. But to be honest, all of them are beautiful itineraries. I'm happy to talk you through. There is sort of various costs. Now, if you want that luxury cruise experience, one of the best things and times to go is sort of December, early December. Caribbean cruise is the most competitively priced that you'll get. So with Silversea, we used to do that a lot. It's not a cheap holiday at all, but compared to the rest of the itineraries, it's a great value one. And when you compare to what's included, fine dining every night, lots of drinks, lots of service, it's just incredible value. And before I sort of hand over to Emma here, one of the things that we're seeing from these small cruise lines is also their expedition voyages. The Silver Origin, I don't think she's actually come into service. I think she's slightly delayed or should have been, and she's dedicated to the Galapagos. My God, that ship is incredible. We're not going to show you a video because Emma's going to show you some more expedition, but that boat is just beyond stunning. And for these, you've got perhaps a slightly younger audience because they're much livelier in terms of going out and doing stuff. Less entertainment, still fine dining, fine service, but much more casual in terms of dress. And we've also got the Seabourn Venture. Now, the Origin is just in Galapagos, but Seabourn Venture is pretty much going across the world. And again, some wonderful things, but we're seeing a real growth in this market. So I don't want to take away from Emma. Does that make you want to go on a luxury cruise, Emma?
I'll go on any cruise.
Okay.
You have to ask me twice.
I think we've got our video on Regent, on our final one on Regent here, and to be honest, this is just beyond stunning. And again, you'll see everything that's included. We've got no sound to this one. This is on the Navigator, which is one of her smaller ships. I've been on the Navigator, but not since she's been refurbished. That is obligatory. When you get on board with all of these ships, you get a welcome glass of champagne. All of them are stunning inside. Compass Rose here is their open dining room, so you can turn up anytime and then you'd be seated, with other people, or you would have a table for two. And as you see, lots of Versace tableware. Also, they've got a range of smaller restaurants. You're going to see, Prime 7, or which is an American restaurant, but lobster and steak, just incredible, hugely popular. They also have a fabulous French restaurant on board as well. You see afternoon tea there as well. So it is lots of drinking and lots of eating. So just perfect for me and Bri. And you're seeing some of the larger cabins here. These are just stunning. And they're serving here. That's pretty much a standard cabin, which is lovely. And they'll bring you a bottle of champagne and canopies every evening if that's what you want. Pool deck staff are just incredible, bringing you drinks and snacks and moving you. And this is the pool bar, which I really like if you just want something really relaxed. There we are on our balcony there, Emma.
Beautiful.
Now this is the library, which is really lovely. You just go and sit. And also on Regent, they have like a big coffee bar area called Coffee Connections, which we just loved. Lots of fresh cakes and, you know, all sorts of things in there, but a real barista type coffee. Now, Silversea, actually, for an Italian company, their coffee wasn't great, but that's something that's been addressed now, and definitely Regent and Seabourn have hugely invested in these barista style coffees. You've got a show here, nowhere near as, I don't want to say it's good because it's different, but as the big ships, but still, you know, enough to keep you entertained.
That's what I'm happy on the balcony.
Yeah, beautiful, Emma. Get your butler or you to bring you some drinks and snacks and you have your dinner there. And these boats are also, or ships should I say, are also surprisingly stable. And that is a real big consideration. So there you go. That was the Seven Seas Navigator. It's the smallest in their fleet. 245 suites there. Most of them have 300 plus. But yeah, just stunning. She's an old ship now, but the refurb is just beautiful. So that is my canter through. There are some other luxury cruise lines out there. You've got Crystal as well. Don't have first-hand experience of Crystal. We're not hearing much from them about them at the moment. And then in the middle, we've got Oceania with her larger ships. Now, she's not quite so all-inclusive. Beautiful boats, though, or beautiful ships, shall I say. Really good food, but your drinks aren't included. So that can be a better price point. And also fabulous French Polynesia itinerary with them as well. So that's one for another time. So, Emma, handing over to you and Everything Expedition.
Just before we get to that point, just two things. Can you put us on gallery view, just so that people could see us side by side? If
you want me to put us on gallery? Oh gosh, Emma.
And then
hello.
Hello. And then the other thing to think of is I just wanted to check if there were any questions before we moved on. I know that
can you
she had made a comment that she loved the hot rocks also. So another
who said that?
Marie. On yours. I don't think there's any comments on mine, but I just wanted to catch up whether or not.
Cherie did. Now, and she is very well travelled, so yeah. But I don't know if she had the man in the shower with hers. You've gone, Emma. You've gone very still there.
Okay. So,
you're a bit discombobulated.
I'm gonna just wanted to. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can, and that's better.
Okay, lovely. So thanks, Gilly, for that wonderful presentation on luxury cruising. We were talking earlier and saying how this just makes us literally ache for cruising. It's like torture, isn't it? When you're dealing with cruises, when we love them so much. So expedition cruises is one of the fastest growing areas in the cruise market, and while there has been a move towards sort of mainstream larger mega ships, there is also an appetite for smaller and more intimate cruises. And expedition cruises often attract people who are not necessarily traditional cruisers. In some cases, cruising is the only way to visit certain remote and unique areas, so they view it as more a means to an end rather than a cruise experience. But that doesn't mean it has to be a rustic experience, and there are many different types of expedition cruising for all budgets and all holiday styles. So they range from the very basic to incredible luxury and everything in between. If you are looking to visit a remote area, it is important to select the right cruise so that you have the experience that you want. And I'm going to cover a variety of a small number, a variety, both, of expedition providers, and give an illustration of the types of opportunities that are available and show you things from the sort of slightly more rustic to, as Gilly mentioned, probably the most incredible ship that I've ever seen anyway. So the first line I'm going to talk about is Intrepid. They're a Norwegian line, and they've been sailing for 127 years. They've sailed, I think this is incredible, every single day since 1893. They got 17 ships and they traveled to 250 locations around the world. But they started life as postal ships in Norway, and they still do that job today. So they carry post and supplies to small villages that are inaccessible in Norway. They do that 365 days a year. But they also offer cruises. You can board those postal boats for a couple of nights, but they offer dedicated cruises on those ships. And now they have a number of sort of specific cruise ships, including some really incredible brand new ships that have been developed for the cruising market and go all over the world. The difference with these sorts of cruises is, for example, if you go on some of the postal ships, you will have up to 34 ports of call in maybe a week. Now, some of these you won't even see because you'll be in bed and you won't even know that the ship was stopped. But what it means is you are really getting a very local view of the country. You are seeing places that most people will never get to see, and going down, incredible small fjords and inlets just to kind of get a glimpse of the real Norway, because it is, essentially a working ship. They have a wide range of excursions in Norway, and they offer, seagulls to snowmobiles, hiking, rib boats. I mean, nothing is more incredible than going down a fjord in a tiny, fast boat. And that is, talk about boats and boats. Whenever we go on a ship, we always end up going on another boat ride. I love boats. Okay. The other thing that the Hurtigruten are really famous for is their Northern Lights cruises. They offer 12-day, 6-day and 7-day cruises, but their 12-day cruises come with an incredible guarantee that they guarantee you will see the Northern Lights. And if you don't, then you will get a free cruise on one of the 6 or 7 night sailings. The majority of the cruises to Norway go out of Bergen, but they charter flights so you can fly directly from the UK, including Bristol. And they do also have a number of UK sailings from Dover and at Scotland as well, but probably less relevant to our customers. They consider themselves to be the masters of polar waterways, and that's because Antarctica is their second biggest sort of cruise area, and they also cruise to Svalbard, Greenland, Iceland, and other parts of Scandinavia. But they also cruise between the 2 poles, so they do Antarctica, Canada, America, the Caribbean, South America, and the Galapagos, and all those other places that cross that area. They do have a wide variety of ships, as I've already said, from working ships to kind of dedicated cruise line ships specifically for this expedition market. And one of the newest is called the Roald Amundsen. It's a state-of-the-art vessel with a kind of environmentally sustainable technology. It's a beautiful ship with a Scandinavian design and contains many of the luxuries, a spa and pool and the things that you would expect from a mainstream cruise ship. But the most unique thing about this ship is that it has a science centre, which has state-of-the-art technology, high-tech gadgets, touchscreen science equipment, and it allows sort of guests and the staff to meet together, explore more about the area where they're visiting. And they've got lecture spaces, a library, workshops for photography and biology. Now, you may think, why would I want to do that on my cruise? If you're a geek like me, this is literally music to my ears. Like, I couldn't be more excited to do something like that on my cruise. That would be a dream for me. But, outside of that, their ships focus on, locally sourced food. They have lectures and presentations and, incredible kind of naturalist programs. They're family friendly. They have young explorer programs. Some ships are better suited to families than others, so that would be something to have a conversation about. But unlike the luxury ships and a lot of the expedition ships, families are welcome, particularly on some of these kind of newer ships. They have free Wi-Fi, there's no gratuities, they provide expedition jackets and boots and poles and things that you might need if you're going out on trips. And they also bill themselves as the greenest cruise ship in the world because of their commitment to sort of sustainable technology and trying to have as little impact on the areas that they are visiting as possible. So I think it is a really great project, and it may be something that people dismiss because they think, oh, it's a Norwegian cruise line and oh, it's a postal ship. But actually that isn't really the case anymore. They are kind of really modern and exciting cruise cruise line. But I've got a little video to show you, and I know the video is a little bit jumpy on Facebook, but it's the imagery in this one that I really want you to be able to see. There's a little bit of sound, but that's less important. I actually felt quite emotional at the end of this video just because it's just so beautiful.
Emma, that was a little bit jumpy in places, but my God, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? But I've had a comment from one of my clients called Lynette, and she needs to go on holiday with you. So I'll be putting you two in touch.
Is that because she's a geek like me?
Well, I said that you are a wonderful holiday companion, so she couldn't go wrong with that.
Well, yeah, thanks for that. Okay, so moving on. If that wasn't enough, let's talk a little bit about Intrepid travel. So Intrepid offer a different kind of exploration cruise. They're a small tour company with a comprehensive cruise program to help their customers explore some of the most remote parts of the world. But unlike a cruise line, they're a tour company first. So they include a full program of excursions with their trips, and there's less focus on luxury cruising and more on getting to the heart of the destination. They have adventure and expedition cruises around the world. For example, they offer adventure cruising in Europe, particularly in the Adriatic, which is slightly different offering from other mainstream cruise lines and different again from the sailing ships you tend to get in these areas. These are small group tours aboard a chartered ship, and they allow the group to get into places that's much harder to get to with traditional cruise ships. And they also have some flexibility because the size of the groups is so small. They have extensive options in the Arctic and Antarctic and a range of ships that vary in level of luxury and service. But the one that I wanted to highlight was the North Pole cruise. This is aboard a nuclear-powered icebreaker, and on this cruise you will reach the true North Pole and be able to have your photo taken as the most northerly person in the world at that moment in time. Like, imagine that, that's just unbelievable. That ship has a Zodiac boat and even a helicopter to allow you to truly explore this incredibly remote area. Animal sightings such as whales, seals and polar bears are common. But this is not a luxury ship, but it does have a luxury price tag. Sailing for this...
You're going to tell us?
Sailing for this cruise starts in excess of £25,000 a person.
Wow. How long is that for?
I think it's about 12 nights.
Oh,
but
okay.
for a true once in a lifetime experience, I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine, like, saying you've been the most northerly person in the world, find your photo taken? And the photo they take actually is really interesting because they, like, hold, like, the anchor of the ship. It's like a really cool pose. But yes, like incredible. They do have other less dramatic options, or as I wrote in my notes earlier, less traumatic options, depending on your circumstances. £25,000 per person might be traumatic. But they do have a sort of fantastic program of other polar areas, including, again, Greenland, Svalbard, the Canadian Arctic, and, an incredible opportunity to get closer to, these very remote areas.
But Emma, before you move on from Intrepid, is it fair to say, in terms of price point, that if you're really looking for something that's itinerary focused, that Intrepid will come in typically at a better price point? Because we've got a colleague, haven't we, that was looking at a family trip to the Galapagos, and it's one of the most cost-effective ways of doing it, with teenagers, but it just isn't luxurious. But in terms of an immersive experience, it's just beautiful. You're just smiling at me. You've frozen.
Definitely. And of the cost proves that you are getting once in a lifetime experience. Gilly, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Cool. Okay. So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about Celebrity Cruise Lines. I've tried to pick a number of different types of cruises, and this is kind of what I've written, mainstream cruise line gone small. So Celebrity Cruise Lines are known for their big ships. They're a mainstream cruise line, but they have kind of gone small for a particular reason. So they are becoming experts in the Galapagos. The Galapagos is one of the most unusual destinations in the world, and for good reason. It's on lots of people's bucket lists. It's 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador, and the 19 islands are a refuge for a host of rare animals, birds, and sea life. On the land, you can see sea lions, tortoises, iguanas, and over 185 species of birds, surrounded by unusual volcanic landscape. Divers will be rewarded with some of the most pristine marine sites on the planet. The sea life has evolved without fear of humans, so that offers unparalleled opportunity for close-up encounters, including with 28 species of shark. Yeah, this is not my comfort zone. The sites are so well protected that only small groups of visitors are allowed to explore just for a few hours at a time, and this protects the environment and ensures the wildlife is safe for future generations. You can visit on a land tour, but very popular way to visit is aboard an expedition cruise, and Celebrity are trying to make a splash in this market. So they have 2 cruise ships that sail to the Galapagos. The first is the Celebrity Expedition, which has just under 50 passengers, and the brand new beautiful Celebrity Flora, which can hold up to 100 passengers. And they've tried to bring as much of the big ship experience into these small ships as possible, with the stunning decor, beautiful spaces, first-class service, and amazing dining. The Celebrity Flora, particularly, is designed specifically for the Galapagos. They have 11 naturalists working on their enrichment program, which is 1 for every 9 passengers on board. Both of the ships feature cabins that are outside facing. They all have windows or balconies, and some include sort of the unique Celebrity features, such as their new infinite balconies. These ships, especially the Flora, are designed to kind of let the outside in and make the most of the scenery and the landscape of the Galapagos. And the Flora also offers Michelin star dining. I mean, what else would you want? So, I think between those 3 lines, you can see there's a wide range of opportunities to explore the world. These are not the only expedition cruises. There are many, many more. But I just wanted to give you an idea of the kinds of experiences you could expect. And of course, Gilly and I happy to chat with you if there's something you've seen that you like, or something you think, oh, I would like something a bit like this. But, we can tell you what exists. But the final thing I'm going to share with you is, well, it's just unbelievable. It's the Scenic Eclipse, and it's only literally just been released. It was sort of finished in August 2020, and of course, not really the cruise season that they were anticipating. This is expedition in the most incredible way. So I hope the video is not too jumpy, but that you can see just how much this ship has. It's only 1 minute long, and when I watched it, my jaw literally dropped. So let's give it a go.
Introducing Scenic Eclipse, the point on the map where luxury meets discovery. From the moment you step on board, you will be surrounded by the ultimate in luxury. On Scenic Eclipse, our aim is to enable guests to discover a world few have ever experienced, with its own submarine to take you below the surface and helicopters to take you beyond the horizon. 3 years in the planning, Scenic Eclipse takes ocean cruising to a completely new level in terms of technology and innovation. The inbuilt safety and comfort features ensure we can cross the most challenging oceans with ease. No matter what horizon you yearn to explore, we'll take you there. Scenic Eclipse, the world's first discovery yacht.
Well, I don't know about you, Gilly, but I mean, I can't think of anything better. I hope you can see when you watch that it's got two submarine. Hello.
You're a bit jittery there, Emma, but I don't know if you could hear me, but just to recap, 2 helicopters and 2 submarines.
2 submarines.
Oh, just one?
At least one.
Oh, okay. It looks incredible. Yeah.
A submarine. I mean, at least one submarine. That's enough.
I'm sure there's 2. I've done my scenic training, and it was just incredible. But obviously, she wasn't launched in time. So I think we should make it a mission, Emma, for you and I to get on a trip on the Scenic Eclipse in 2022. So I think that should be a goal for next year for us.
It could well be.
Okay.
That is kind of my my bit on expedition cruises. As I said, you know, it's a very small snapshot, but some absolutely unbelievable destinations.
Yeah, just to close again tonight, we'll obviously take questions and follow up. But, you know, hope you can tell if you've been, a lot of you I know have joined us for 3 parts of the series, and both Emma and I are incredibly passionate about cruising and have great, you know, first-hand knowledge, which we're always, you know, happy to share. And what we talk about is that, to be honest, I think it's quite difficult to go on I think it's quite easy to go on a good cruise. But if we get the right ship, the right cabin and the right destination, you know, we can help you find something that's absolutely perfect. And most of our trips are tailor-made. So we'll sort out the flights and maybe some pre-accommodation and some post-accommodation. So we can guide you towards, you know, the best destination and itinerary and ship for you. And then we can add things on, you know, either side. And as we talk about, you're dealing then with travel agents who have got both ABTA and ATOL protection, and we've got a flight element in there. But, you know, feel absolutely free to pick our brains. What we're doing in all of these is just a snapshot to really whet your appetite if you're thinking about cruising, because to be honest, all of these we could probably do a week of webinars just on luxury cruising. We could certainly do a week, probably if not a month, of webinars on expedition cruising, couldn't we, Emma? Because, you know, what is out there is just beyond incredible. I mean, we could do a week on her to Gruton alone, and then we've got these, you know, stunning other ships coming on as well. So I think that's pretty much it for tonight, isn't it, Emma? I mean, it's been, I mean, I love doing these because, you know, it keeps us current, doesn't it? And we get to, you know, to look at these things, even though I do feel, oh, we're back again. Hi, everyone. I do feel a bit sad because I don't think I'm going to get back on a ship again, possibly until October this year. Hopefully we'll start cruising before then, but that's kind of the first time I can do it. When are you next cruising?
Well, my next cruise that I booked is August 2022, but I suspect there may be at least one sneaky one in before then. So
maybe we can get that scenic one in before, Emma.
You know, just throw it in, just just pop to Antarctica for, you know, a week or
Yeah,
two.
Hurtigruten is one of my favourites as well, and the feedback we get from clients on Hurtigruten is just incredible, because and I think it's quite often a cruise line for people who don't normally cruise. It's much more about the expedition than the luxury, but all incredible.
I think generally expedition cruising is kind of aimed at those people, and you don't have to be a cruise lover to love an expedition cruise.
No, sure. Yeah,
you know,
sure.
You're not kind of averse to cruising, and no one should be, because it's amazing. But if you are, you know, maybe not for you, but I think you could love an expedition cruise when maybe another cruise might be not your favorite thing. So some places the only way to get there is on an expedition cruise, like Antarctica, for example. You know,
yeah, I mean, that would just be incredible. That's not so. I was having a chat to Brian about that tonight, and he really I said to him, I don't know if I fancy Antarctica, and he said, oh my God, I'd love to go. So that's been added to our bucket list tonight, and I was quite surprised by that, because normally we do a lot of warm cruises, so that's on there now. Have we got any questions? We've got lots of really.
I think.
Now, Lynette is saying, well, where does that visit? I think that's to the scenic. I'll follow that up with you, Lynette, but pretty much the eclipse, the Scenic Eclipse is going everywhere, isn't it? It's not just Galapagos or whatever, it's a full itinerary. So if anyone's got any other questions, I'm just having a look if we've got any on the things. A lot of really positive feedback, which is always great, because we love doing these. We're doing a series of them. We're bringing cruising to a close now, but our next one is going to be on American road trips, isn't it? And motorhomes, Emma, which is one of your absolute favourite subjects. And we've had a lot of people contact about that. So more to come, but that I think probably be early March for that one now. But that's our next exciting one.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, if you think I'm excited about cruise, wait till you see me talk about motorhomes.
American road trips.
I'm excited about everything. Like right now, I'm excited about everything. I'm excited about a trip to the shop.
We're excited just to be leaving the house. Okay, well, I could chat to you all night, because it's always an absolute pleasure. Thank you for everyone that's joined us. I'm sorry, it has been slightly jittery in places with those videos, but we can share anything with you. But I think you've got the gist of it. So, again, thanks for joining us, guys. Any comments? If you love what we do, let us know, because it's always good to hear, because it's tough right now in travel. And of course, if you've got any questions or anything either of us can assist you with, then it would be our absolute pleasure to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope you all have a great evening, and we've loved chatting cruise with you.
Yeah, night, guys.
Bye.